Hey guys, Brian here from Better Chess Training, and it's been a little while since I've recorded a video. So just to get try to build up the momentum, I thought I would do a video where I recorded my thoughts during a game, and so here we are. This game, actually, let me just go back real quick. It's on Lichess, and it was in the lobby. This player is rated about 30 points lower than me in Lichess Classical, so I thought this would be a good matchup. And so here we are. In this particular case, we started out with the Petroff. Let me just show you the beginning moves here. I can do that. E4, E5, knight F3, knight F6. I take, and he plays the main line, D6. I go back to knight to F3. He takes here. I play D4, and the whole idea behind that is to play this. And here's where we are. So here I'm just going to castle, tuck my king away, and he castles as well. So with the bishop here on e7, it's a little different than if it were on e6. Um, the system's a little different. And again, I'm sort of learning this one. So here, the main move, or at least the move that I've been studying, is to play, well, we'll just play knight to d2. Another option is to play c4. So I'm actually not 100% sure which one I should play here. I think c4 would definitely be okay. Um, that would be pretty standard. Knight to d2 seems like it is a move as well. My thoughts here are that he's going to play knight to f or bishop to f6 and start to put pressure here. So I don't want to necessarily commit my pawn to c4. So let's go ahead and try knight to d2. And right after the game, we could look up and see what's going on there too. Okay, so he goes here, knight to f6. And this may seem like I wasted a move here on knight to d2, but if you think about it, he also used a move here to get to put his knight back on f6, and now this bishop doesn't look so great. Um, Here, I'm thinking either c3 or another idea is to play knight to e5 and then maybe think about doing this. In fact, I kind of like that move, but maybe you know what I'm going to do first is play rook to e1. This also gives me the option of maybe going knight to f1 here. Okay, so bishop to g4, pinning my knight here. Not sure if this does a ton right now. I don't think it's a bad move, and it might be the book move. So here, obviously I'm not going to move my knight yet. Maybe I could hit him with h3. In fact, there is a line where h3 is played. And then maybe I could play g3 and then king to g2. That might actually be the line. One thing I'm trying to do this year with my openings is, and to some extent I've always done, is to try to understand them a little bit better. And so what I'm going to do here is, hopefully it's not bad, is play g3. And my idea here is to bring my king here to g2. And we'll see how this setup works. This is actually the first time I played this line uh, in a game, so I think it'll be interesting to see how it goes. And this is the best way I think to learn chess is to maybe study the line a little bit, but then you don't need to necessarily study it too intensely until you've actually played it in a game. Okay, here the threat here is maybe c4 as well as taking here. I think c3 is a decent move. And in these early moves, I'm going to try to move a little quicker too because I don't want to get into time trouble later. Okay, so now we have the symmetrical position here. Of course, now he's threatening to capture here because my knight is pinned. So how can I deal with that? Well, I can just move my. Well, my opponent offers a draw. Interesting. Not sure if that necessarily is a good thing. Um, but of course, I don't need to take it. What is the thought here? I could just play something like Queen to A4. It's kind of weird to unpin. I could play something like Queen to B3. Then that also unpins the knight. So unpinning the knight will solve the problem, as will um, doing something like knight to b3, but then that maintains the pin. Kind of like queen to a4 or queen to b3. Putting queen to b3 would put pressure on his pawns as well. Um, but yeah, this is. I think I made a mistake somewhere here. I'm going to try to rectify this situation, kind of get out of this bind. I think what I'm going to do here is play queen to b3. And now I do have to be careful. This piece configuration seems a little loose. So my next soon one of my moves I want to play is king to g2 to protect this knight. This position should be about even. I'm not sure if I can say that I have an advantage here, but I do think that I'm not doing worse either. So king to g2 is an idea. Eventually, maybe playing something like this, or bringing this around over here might be good as well. Because trading here would be trading on e5 would be pretty good. Eventually, eventually. So okay, he's going to protect here, and so of course I'm not going to take it. King to g2 still looks good. Just trying to see if there's any other threats here. Um, yeah, I think king to g2 would be good. This pawn needs to be protected again at some point. Um, so we can see about that as well. But I think king to g2, just protecting this knight so that this knight can move, I think is a good idea. And then I could even maybe go something like this, and then something like this. That would solve some of my development problems. Um, and again, I think one of the goals we're going to try to do here is look to see what, because I do think there's some kind of awkward development here that I did not account for. Okay, so let's see here. I think. Let's see, how do I want to do this? I want to protect this pawn. And I want to fix this knight. I want to develop this bishop. And I have to be careful because this rook is kind of loose here as well. So um, my development is a little strange. This G4 just seems kind of ugly. And I played some games recently where I played G4 and gotten crushed because of it. And so that one's kind of dangerous too. Um, Now, the problem here now too is moving this knight. He can just take here. So that's not very pretty either. Not a pretty choice at all. This is kind of a quandary here. I don't have a ton of time, so I'm thinking the G4 move might be the way to go. Um, let's see here. Well, another idea here is just to what if I just moved my bishop out of this bishop out of the way so that the queen is now covering here. Then I have a little then I can move my knight. This is see he's going to be backing this up, I think. Um, not super happy about the way I did this. Well, you know what I could do too? I can. What helps solve some problems is just actually pin this knight. Um, then the queen would cover here. Then I could develop my other pieces. So there's an idea. Let's let's try that. It's not a great solution, I don't think, but the key here is we're going to try our best, and then we are going to study the game afterward in order to try to improve, try to improve on our play. And I am down on the clock a little bit, so I do want to play fairly quickly as well. This does introduce this type of threat too, so maybe this move isn't so bad. I don't necessarily want to capture here, but if he does play a6, we'll have to decide how we want to approach it. If he plays a6 here, and normally I would want to do this calculation before I made a move. I did think about this a little. Maybe just takes back with the pawn, and then play queen to d3. I would be hitting the a6 pawn. Um, and protecting this pawn as well. So that could be an option. But you can see here that my development is just very quirky. Quirky, we'll say. Okay. Um, see, that's interesting. He's just putting another attacker here, which putting another attacker here, which I'm not sure if it's such a great idea. Um, if I take here, he can take now with the queen or the. I don't necessarily want to do that either. I mean, this bishop isn't necessarily a bad piece. But yeah, I've got some development issues here, which is definitely not something I can ignore. I could do some type of liquidation here, which might just help a little bit. So, for example, capturing here on c6. If he takes back with the pawn, I can take his queen, and then I can maybe play b3, and then get my bishop out that way. Um, bishop takes bishop takes c6. If queen takes c6, I think that's okay. Maybe not great, but okay. Maybe I could reroute my knight then. Now, I'm not actually. So the problem is he's trying to stymie the development of my knight here, which is a pretty good idea, I guess. Let's see. Bishop takes c6. What other choices do I have? I can't really move this knight yet because my queen would be overworked. This is the main problem. I think I'm going to have to go for some type of simplification here and try to see how. Now, the pawn structure wise, if he takes back with the b pawn, it's okay for me. I would say not necessarily great, but okay, because that pawn can become a weakness. But yeah, definitely opening not quite what I wanted here. Now, this is actually okay um, here because now, as I mentioned before, I've kind of solved some of my problems with this because now I don't mind him capturing here because my king would be a little safer. Let's see here. If I take back with the knight, yeah, I think I need to take back with the knight because this pawn structure would be pretty bad. Now, this knight gets here, which is okay. I can actually, so if he takes back with the pawn, which he should, I've got this square. Okay, now, the question is where to develop this bishop. Actually, I do have a nice little spot, which would be bishop to f4. That actually is kind of nice. Um, oh, actually, here I can actually play knight to e5 too, hitting this pawn. In fact, that might be the way to go. Actually, let's hit this. Let's play bishop to f4 first, hitting this rook. So this will help see if he wants to try to stay on this file. That might be a little tricky for him because of moves like this, for example, where his bishop might get into some trouble. Okay, he's countering here, which I guess is okay, but now we have a opportunity to. Well, no, I have to see. If I take, he's just going to take here first with check. So I can't take his rook. I need to move my rook. Now, do I exchange my rook? I think that might actually be okay. The other option here would be to play bishop to d2, but I think that would displace my knight, which I don't necessarily want to do. Okay, I think I could play rook takes e8. The idea is if he's going to take back with his rook, and now I could bring my knight to e5, blocking the file anyway. So let's do that. Also, I'm running a little low on time, so I do need to make these decisions quicker. Okay, and now I can play. Let's see here. Could do a couple things actually. I could play rook to c1, which might be good as well. And let's play actually rook to c1. No, because rook to e2 would be annoying. All right, let's play knight to e5. So, and then if you play something like this, then I could just go ahead and take this pawn, I think. Okay. Here, he wants to go for this. So I'm winning a pawn. It's destabilizing this guy, but I'm winning a pawn, and this guy's he's protected. So I don't need to worry about that. I'm not quite sure what his idea is here. Could be a blunder. Could be a blunder. Okay. Well, here I think we can just. We need to push this pawn. Or can I. Does he have an idea here? Well, he could play this maybe. All right, let's push. You know what? It can get a little complicated, can't it? Let's take a move and. Well, let's advance the pawn. I don't see what's. He's going to put his rook behind it or in front of it. Then I could push it to c7, where at least it will be protected by this bishop. Well, it's not going to be protected by this bishop, but because he's going to play this move here. But we're going to gain a tempo, I think, by hitting his bishop. Okay. so here we can. Okay, I'm going to take, and then I'm going to hit his bishop this way to reroute my knight. Like so. I'm expecting bishop to f7. But then I'm going to attack his pawn here. Oh, no. So is he just giving me another pawn? Okay, no, he's not. He's going to do that. Okay, we're going to, we are up a pawn, so I'm going to take. It's going to damage his pawn structure a little. And now I'm going to attack this pawn. And if he comes here to e2, okay, so he's going to, he's willing to trade pawns here. Do I want to do that? I am a pawn up. Just trying to see where my next entry point is here. Because, okay, rook takes d5, rook takes c6. A couple things I can do here. I can try attacking his rook, but I don't think I can dislodge him from this file protecting the knight. So I'm not sure if I can necessarily win more material that way. The other thing is I can protect the pawn, because this pawn is going to stay weak. In fact, that might be the better way to go about it. A couple ways I can do that, of course. Let's see here. Well, this knight to d4 is interesting, because then my rook is still free to roam here. Okay. Here, let's see. I'm actually going to do a rook lift to rook to d3, and kind of thoughts here. I can attack this pawn now. That's why I didn't play. I was thinking of playing b3, but I don't necessarily need to do that. So this rook ending, I think, is this okay for me? He needs to take back. Yeah, I think his pawns, I'm going to wager. No. I need to protect this pawn. I was gonna say maybe his pawns are weaker than mine, but actually, I think if I bring my king in, let's see, what's the best way to do this? Do I want to push this first to fix these pawns, or do I want to bring my king in? I think this is an interesting position. Kind of a dangerous one, too. So what I'm going to do, which maybe is not great, is push to f3. The reason why is I want to keep his king from entering, but I don't want to necessarily give him a hook for his pawns. Okay, now I'm going to bring my king in. Maybe I should have played f4. I'm not sure. Interesting. He's offering me a draw. Thing is, I don't think this is a drawn position. I think I have some winning chances here, but I do have to be careful. Okay. Let's back all the way up, and I'm going to let him go for this pawn, but I'm going to bring my king in to take this one. And then this. this should be winning for me because I have all the pawn moves. So this position should be totally winning. We're gonna take a tempo move here. He's gonna run out of pawn moves before I am. He will have this move though, so I need to be careful. Um, let's see here. He's got this move. So I'm gonna play this. So now he doesn't have this move. He's got this move and he's got this move. So I need to have enough pawn moves here that he needs to make a mistake. Now the problem he has here is I'm going to win another pawn, and then when he goes after this pawn, I'm gonna just bring my king this way, like so. And now here, again, I need to be careful, but let's see. I've got this move. I've got to make it so that he runs out of moves before I do. Actually, you know what? This should be fine. Well, actually, I'm not sure. Just going to bring that there. This might still be drawn. Okay, so I think I need to commit. I need to. This is what's going to happen. We're going to take here, and then he's going to make a beeline. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm going to be pushing this way. So actually, I might have made a mistake with the. Yeah, this may be. So the other option is to try to push, but then if he pushes, push again, he's offering a draw. I actually think now this is a draw, or I'm gonna lose if I try to win this. Let's do some quick calculation. Bishop b5, king takes b5, king takes a5, and then he goes here, 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 then here, then here, here, and then he takes. Well, then I take, then he goes there. I go here. Do I draw this? Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know why I'm counting. If he goes here, I go here. Then he gets out of the way, and then I push, and then I win the race. If he goes after, so from this position, he goes after this pawn, I take, he takes, I take, he goes down here, I go here, then I win also. I think this is winning. You know what? This is educational, so let's go for it. I'm not 100% sure if I'm right. We did the counting there, which, oh, he's going to block me off, but that's okay. That actually was a really good move, which I didn't. I don't think it matters though, because yeah, it looks like I'm going to win because of the tempo here. And so the calculation was correct. Now, let's see. Now we can take a little time. Now that I got a little more time on my clock. Um, can't quite. Yeah, I can just push this, I think. Yeah, I push and then I go here. And so it looks like we're going to win this. Kind of sloppy, so we're going to take some time and look at a few of the positions and see where we can improve. But definitely, um, normally in a game, of course, you can't draw those circles and stuff, but we are on Lichess, and this is educational. So we will see where we could have improved our play. I think the end game I played pretty well. I think the opening I played fairly poorly. So I'll show you a little bit how we're going to take a look at that and how we can improve our play. But this is actually this is kind of what you're looking for when you play these types of games. Um, you're looking for a challenge. I'm not trying to. You're not trying to just win easy games. You want to look for games that are going to expose weaknesses, whether that be weaknesses in your knowledge, for example, the opening knowledge here, could be weaknesses in your thought process, calculation and such. That especially if you're playing longer time control games, or it could be, as I've talked about before, performance issues. Either playing when you're too tired or nervous and things like that as well. I'll have some more insights into that in some of my future videos, as well as um, some of my uh, recaps on my games, but also some specific videos about some of these issues. As you know, in my other um, recent video about the game within a game, part of that is these different aspects of chess: the knowledge, the skills, as well as the performance or psychology, which is how you apply your skills and knowledge during a game and your ability to do so. So my opponent here is um, hopefully not going to let the time run out, but the idea here is that if he goes here, I'm just going to bring my king here and just walk my pawn up. So we will see. So actually, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to just stop the recording, and if he ends up playing some more moves, I will restart. Okay, resuming the video. Actually, so my opponent actually let all this time run down. I just want to make a little public service announcement here, I guess. When you're losing and there's no chance for winning, it's okay to take a couple minutes to make sure that your position isn't totally lost. But when you let, I forgot how much time there was, 15 minutes go by in a obviously lost king and pawn endgame, it's rather poor sportsmanship. And I hope, my dear viewers, if you are watching this, that you don't do this. I understand being upset when you lose a game of chess, but this is, obviously wasting your opponent's time like this online. This is something you would never do in an over the board tournament, which is why another reason why I prefer over the board. But anyways, just gonna do a little bit of a complaint there. Now, Lichess, luckily, when this type of thing happens, there are usually some type of temporary ban. Okay, my opponent here playing this incredibly inane move here with 15 seconds to go. Um, so it's kind of funny. Maybe he knows I'm recording. That's okay. We're gonna just go ahead. We'll go ahead and win this. We'll let him just do that, um, and we're gonna win the game. But this is kind of funny. It's just sorry. I don't mean to be too. It's just it's kind of ridiculous. Um, Well, let's demonstrate our, I guess, our winning technique. If he keeps playing on, we'll see. I think he's gonna. Um, who knows what he's gonna do here? Okay, obviously I'm gonna promote my pawn, um, and is he gonna let time run out? Okay. Well, so key here is you want to make sure you don't stalemate your opponent. So always make sure he has a move to make. Um, and in this case, we're going to use a technique I learned from my friend Stacia. If he allows me to do this, we're going, well, he's on the back rank already. But we're just going to lock him in here on the back rank. And then we're going to just bring our king over and checkmate him. So again, this is I don't want to say childish play because I have a lot of I teach children and they would not do this, um, but immature play we'll say, um, and he lets time run out. So um, in any case, that is the win. Let's go over a few of the positions. Okay, we're here in the analysis board and just wanted to address the opening, uh, first opening moves here. Um, in this particular position, knight to d2 is the third most popular move played, but is very rare. The two regular moves here would be c4, which is the most popular move, and rook to e1. So let's just take a couple looks at couple moves to take a look at that. And here, knight to f6 is the main move. Knight to c3, and here two moves here, either taking on c4 or knight to c6, which is the most popular. And then similarly, two main choices here: c takes d5 and h3. H3 is the most popular move, preventing that pin that we saw during my game. But then black has this annoying move here, and the bishop drops back to e2. Um, this particular opening seems to be favorable towards white. You can see white has good development. I'm just going to throw the engine on here real quick just to see. And again, what the engines say isn't necessarily the gospel here in the opening moves, but it is a plus zero point 0.4 advantage according to Stockfish. So we would say kind of a normal advantage for white. So let's move on to the next critical position. Okay, here's the next important position. Again, sort of from that opening, moving into the middle game phase. And we can see here, I assessed that I was already in a little bit of trouble. Engine says this is negative 0.2, negative 0.3. And I played what ends up being not such a great move with bishop to b5. Thought that I was pinning here, but black has a nice resource here. Remember, one of the issues we have here is this rook. It's not hanging at this point, but it is sort of loose here, and black can improve his bishop to d6 and unveil this. And then after this trade, queen takes e8 um, here, and then the engine's giving a3 for white. Which I don't fully understand, but I just want to show you just how good this position is. White has a lot of good moves here. The engine's giving queen to e6, and we can just see here this is just a very nice position. Look at the development for, let's say I did something silly, like let's say I played knight to f1. Remember I mentioned trying to do that, and then black just exposes my king here. Queen takes, knight takes d4, um, and I'm just in a lot of trouble at this point. If I queen to d3, getting out of trouble here, we takes, and then queen to e4 check, and you can see here I'm in a lot of trouble. So in this particular position, going back here, the best move here, which I did consider too, um, is the weakening g4. Not such a great move here. And then bishop to g6 is fine. The computer is also saying this annoying knight to a5 would also be good, but with the same idea though, is that bishop to g6 is next. And this would give white an even game. Definitely not what white wants out of the opening, but would have been the best in this particular position. Okay, this next position brings us into this end game, and I wanted to evaluate the decision I made at this point because it's kind of I wouldn't say it's a critical one. So white is definitely at the advantage here, and the decision here was to trade whether to trade these pawns. According to the engine, both the decision I made, which was to keep the pawns on the board, as well as trading, would have been fine. Let's take a look at if I would have taken here on d5. Rook takes c6, and then the plan, it's a solid advantage for white. We have an extra pawn, which in this type of endgame with the rooks and knight still on is very good. And here we can just improve our king. So king to f3, and here it's pretty good position already. Okay, if we improve the knight, black can improve the knight, we could just kick it out, for example, here. And the engine saying knight to e7, but then we get this position here on the 7th rank, which is pretty good, winning for white. Should be winning for white. So still some issues, I would say, maybe with the with um, this position. I mean, he can maybe do some type of counterattack eventually here with rook to c2, but um, being a pawn up in this endgame should be enough. Let's go back here. Knight to d4 it's also evaluated as a good move here, but the move the engine likes a lot, and let's just take a quick look here, is knight to a5. Um, one advantage that this move has, which is not necessarily what happened in the game, it keeps this a pawn from advancing, which is pretty good here. So here, uh, knight to c4 is actually recommended here. And then with this idea, rook takes d5, and knight to b2. Knight takes b2 is what's recommended, but after knight takes a5, rook takes a5, rook takes c6, rook takes a7, we can see here that this is going to be pretty much an easy win for white. So this position I thought was good for white, and it ends up being good for white. Okay, and the final position we're going to look at today is this one. As we can see, we in this position we ended up winning anyway, and I did the move I made was still winning. In the game I played king to c4, but there's actually a lot of ways to go wrong here. Let me give you an example. Let's say I went this way, king to c2, which I probably wouldn't have made. Black actually draws with a very timely a4. And so let's just look at that line real quick. Bishop b takes a4, king takes a4, and then this race to the pawns happens, and it ends up being a draw here. So let's take a look. King goes this way, but you can see here now there's no way to penetrate into the position. This king is just in time, just in time. Let's say if he had one move less, this would be winning because then I'd be able to get in. But because of this particular position, that ends up being a draw. But here, let's go back to this position. The move that would have made things a lot easier and caused me to have a lot less stress about calculating here would be h5, freezing the g pawn. And now a4 doesn't work because I bypass here with b4. And then if he goes a2, I push. And then if he tries to get out of the way here, actually I could just push here too. But the main idea here is that I can just attack as well and just win this pawn. So let's go back here. So after this position, if he moves his king, then here I could do a couple things, but b4 is sufficient, just transposing into that line I showed you, and then b5 will be winning. So good to kind of know these little ideas for the end game. And that's one that I missed during the game. I was in a little time trouble, but it's definitely one that I'm glad I learned. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. It's good to be back and recording. I'm hoping to be more consistent with the videos in the forthcoming weeks. So over here, you can see my other recent video about the game within the game. I really want to talk a lot more about how we can understand this idea of the game of chess improvement in order to uh, use different elements and manipulate different elements in our personal game of chess improvement in order to make chess training more fun, more efficient, and more effective. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.